Imagine, if you will, taking a newly acquired gun to the range to try and sight in its accuracy. You set up target 30 yards away, you fire a 10-round clip. 9 of the rounds hit the upper right hand corner of the target in a very close cluster. One round, however, hits a perfect bullseye. Now, in the real world, any reasonable person would say that gun's not hitting a bullseye 10 out of 10 times. It's not 100% accurate. Fair claim, right? So, why on earth do people argue that this is true of fictional characters and their feats? I'm Daniel, here today to engage the theory that arguing from outliers in battleboarding just doesn't make sense from a logical perspective at all. As illustrated by that opening analogy, let's take an example that actually occurs in fiction. Specifically, Spider Man being argued to be a planetary threat because he once punched out Firelord in Amazing Spider Man number 27. Firelord being a herald of Galactus who wields the same powers as the Silver Surfer. Or the fact that Peter Parker once claimed he could take on the Hulk 1v1. It doesn't take a serious, hardcore genius to recognize that no, these aren't legitimate showings of consistent power for this character. Or else threats such as Scorpion, Dr. Octopus, Vulture, etc., they would not pose a remote threat to him. Heck, Ock is a normal scientist with mechanical arms, for crying out loud. The guy explicitly has brain damage from getting punched so much by superheroes. How do you reasonably argue he scales to taking planetary punches? You don't, really. You can't. But people do argue that. And the reason why is that it's actually very popular to simply take the absolute peak showings of a character and apply that to the entire character and their history, ignoring context. The problem comes from that target analogy with the gun, though. Why would one feat in isolation nullify all that consistency on the target? 9 of the bullets hit the top right corner of it, and one of them hits dead center. Why would it be acceptable in battleboarding to say, well, yeah, ignore all 9 of those and it's a 100% accurate character? Yeah. No. If I earned straight A's from kindergarten to my master's degree and I get 1 F in my undergrad, if you called me a straight F student, I would call you crazy. You're fundamentally wrong. Same exact way that if you call Spider Man planetary, you're fundamentally wrong. But it's understandable, though. It's not like you're completely dumb. You're not crazy. It's just that it's easy. It's lazy. And it makes it less complex to argue if you reduce it down to simply 1 or 2 select feats. It's not necessarily bad when I say lazy, it's just it makes it easier to digest. And it definitely isn't the correct thing, though, when you're analyzing a character for fun. Granted, if you're doing it for fun in your own way, don't let me tell you how to do it. That is not what I'm here to do. I'm here simply to state that if you're trying to be accurate and correct, maybe you have to have a broader scope. Like, for instance, Death Battle. Insanely popular, very fun videos. I like Death Battle, but they outright admit that they do this on their videos. They create a conception of a popular character that doesn't really exist because they only are taking high end feats to make it easy. Superman, for instance, he's not an infinity lifting, hyper casual 1 million times the speed of light universal threat. All that claim taken from the Goku vs. Superman 2 video. If he were, literally nothing would ever be a threat in the DC universe. For proof of that, the Flash, canonically in the New 52 DC universe, had trouble outrunning a beam of light, for crying out loud. 2016's Justice League run, issue number 9, he specifically calls out the fact it's just physics when explaining why light will catch him. He's explicitly faster than Superman, according to Justice League Volume 2, number 42, 2011 The Flash run, number 26, and the 2018 Superman run, volume number 6. So, if someone's a million times faster than the Flash, they could be everyone on Earth, everywhere on Earth, in under a second, and solve all crime forever, full stop. They would be able to encompass the entire Earth every single second. Nobody would ever get away with anything. And that issue goes away when you accept the consistency such that the Flash is faster, according to no fewer than 3 separate comic runs, and the Flash can't outrun light. So claiming that Superman is 1 million times light speed doesn't jive. It's just not right. But for those of you wanting more than just a baseline analysis, looking at feats in isolation and me pointing out the problems with that, there's actually an official logical fallacy. The fallacy of composition is what this is called. To wit, the fallacy of composition states that you're committing a fallacious thought when you assume that because something is true of one part of something, it's true of the whole. A quick example: atoms are not alive. Therefore, anything made of atoms is not alive. I'm talking though, and I'm definitely not dead, maybe internally. But it's a hasty generalization that just isn't true once you simply examine that claim. The battleboarding equivalent is what I said earlier. Spider Man once hurt Firelord with a punch. Therefore, Spider Man is planetary. It's not correct. And it's proven by the consistency of feats throughout several decades of existence. So, if you encounter this line of argumentation, either on Versus Battle Wiki, Space Battles, Comic Vine, who would win anywhere else, just ask the person you're engaging with. Is that consistent, though? Sure, it might be more effort. But if you want to avoid just bandwagoning to what Versus Battle Wiki says, or offer an appeal to authority and point to Death Battle and their calculations, if you want to avoid that and actually engage the hobby and try and be accurate, engage with the character consistently actually does. And then your arguments are going to be more solid. I'm sure some of the outliers conflict at times, but that's why they're outliers. You take all the data, you plot it on a graph, and you see what's the line of best fit. Anything way outside of that line, throw it away. That's math for you, too. But hey, what do I know? That's just some battle board theory.